not show up. Oh, do you know anything about Jewel? She's been here for a
No,
while.
she's been helping out with family stuff, so
Okay.
hasn't been able to join us, but. But yes, so today we've got a gentle yoga practice and kind of some slower moves or moves that we'll do multiple times in a row. And the reason for that is to just be able to create space for ourselves to do a bit of reflection today. So we'll go ahead and start in a nice seated pose, just taking a nice deep breath. Kind of rolling our shoulders back and down as always, sitting up nice and tall and either closing your eyes or softening your gaze. And just thinking about elongating that breath. And taking several deep breaths in this pose just to center yourself, relax. Be present in the moment. And as you breathe deeply, I'm going to read, we've got 2 poems for today from Morgan Harper Nichols, both of them from the book All Along You Are Blooming. And the first one goes like this. I feel the gaze of the photograph peering at me from the wooden frame speckled in dust. But I have to remember, I am not who I was back then. Yes, that is my grin, my skin. But when I look into my own eyes, I know that I have changed. I know that even though I still feel traces of my former self, I see things differently now. I have learned not to hide my pain for fear of what others might say. I have learned some days will be harder than others, and that is absolutely okay. I do not have to be strong all the time. I am not a burden because I have burdens, and because there is a lot on my mind. And maybe not everyone will have time for me, and maybe there will be people who feel I am too much. But I have learned that I am still worthy of love, and that is more than enough. And I may not always feel weightless. I may forget at times that I am free, but I am learning to fall into grace, to be led where I am meant to be. So as we sit here, let's go ahead and take one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly if you're able. Notice the rhythm of your breath. And then again, begin to deepen that breath. Intentionally creating some space for reflection in your mind and in your heart today as we come towards the end of 2023. And then we're going to take that right hand down to the mat. Inhale the left arm up. And then lean over to the right hand side. And then coming back to center. We'll plant that left hand, inhale the right arm up. Lean off to the left hand side. And then coming back to center, go ahead and clasp both of your hands together. Pull them straight out in front of your chest and then round down so you have an arch in your back. If you'd like an even deeper stretch here, you can start to lean back on your tailbone as well. Tucking your chin, but still breathing. Then coming back to center, go ahead and take those hands behind you, clasping those hands behind you, pulling down at your tailbone, opening up the chest as you look up. And then if you're able, see if you can fold forward and also still bring up your hands behind you slightly. And if that's not comfortable, then just feel free to stay here where you are. And releasing that, coming back to center. Go ahead and bring your hands to your knees again. We're going to switch whichever leg you have in front here. This time taking the left hand to the mat, inhale the right arm up. Exhale off to the side. And coming back to center. Planting that right hand on the mat, inhale the left arm up. And then exhale off to the side. And then go ahead and come back to center. One more time, clasp your fingers together or your hands together. Pull out in front of your chest as you tuck your chin and round your back. Again, sitting back on your tailbone if you would like to deepen that stretch. And releasing that to center, clasping your hands behind you, pulling down at your tailbone, opening up the chest. I'm going to go ahead and release that. This time, we're going to take our feet straight out in front of us. Excuse me. We're going to bend our right knee, and then we're going to do some gentle twists. So taking our left arm, wrapping it around that right knee. Go ahead and twist off to that right hand side. Inhaling and sitting a little bit taller. And then as you exhale, see if you can twist a little deeper. Maybe one more breath here. And releasing that forward, go ahead and switch sides. So we're taking the left foot, bending the knee, taking that right arm wrapped around it, twisting off to the other side. Maybe one more deep breath here. And then releasing that forward. Leaving your feet there, we're going to start by pressing our palms into the mat, sitting nice and tall. Inhaling deeply. And then as you exhale, go ahead and start to tuck your chin, round your shoulders down. You can lean forward slightly and move your hands to support you if you would like. Coming into caterpillar pose. And then releasing that up. We're going to go ahead and sit nice and tall again, pressing our palms into the mat once more. And then as you exhale one more time, go ahead and tuck your chin, round your back, coming down into caterpillar pose. And coming back up out of that, we're going to swing those feet around so we can come up onto all fours. I'm going to do some cat-cows here. So making sure our hands are underneath our shoulders, knees are underneath our hips, letting that belly kind of sink down, allowing the tailbone to come up, and the head to come up. And then as you exhale, tuck that chin, round the spine, tuck your tailbone, exhale all the way out. And then inhale as you drop your belly once more, tailbone comes up. And just go at your own pace. Going back and forth between those two poses. We're probably going to do about 10 of these today. You might notice as we move through our practice that 10 is kind of our magic number today. So we're doing lots of things in a series of 10. Again, we're creating space for reflection, but also space for you to remember to be gentle with yourself. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and come back to neutral spine. So we're going to do extended table by moving our weight, shifting our weight to our left knee and our right palm. We're going to take that back leg and extend it out behind us, leaving our hips square to the mat. So we're not opening them up here to the side just yet. We're leaving them here to the mat and then extending that left arm out as well. If you'd like to point your toe, you can. Drawing that belly button in toward the spine. Continuing to focus on balance. And reaching your fingertips and your toes in opposite directions. And then allowing that all to settle down to the mat. Feel free to shake things out if you need to. And shifting our weight to our right knee and our left palm. Go ahead and take that left leg up. Again, making sure that your hips are still square to the mat. And then extending that right arm out. Again, you can point your toes if you would like. Thinking about your balance here. About lengthening that spine. And then go ahead and settle those down back onto the mat. We're going to take our knees together here and our toes together, and then sit our hips back over our heels, extend forward for child's pose. And pressing our palms into the mat. We're coming back up onto all fours, taking those knees as wide as our hips once more. As always, if you need to roll up the mat for extra cushion, or if you need to make a fist like this for you to help with your wrists, feel free to do that. This time we're going to move our weight to the left knee and the right hand again, extending that right leg out behind us. But this time we're going to open up the hips to the side, shifting our weight back to the left hand. We're going to see if we can find a little bit of balance here. If you can lift that left hand or the right hand up off the mat, then feel free to do that. If you can't and you need to just keep it down on the mat, feel free to do that too. Some of us have it today and some of us don't, and that's okay. Just do what you can. So then when you've held whatever form of this position you are going to hold today, then go ahead and bring that right hand back down to the mat. Start to turn your hips so that way they face the mat again. And then go ahead and bend that knee, bring it back down. And shifting the weight to the other side. We've got our weight now on our right knee and our left palm. Taking that left leg up behind us. Then opening up those hips to the side. We're shifting our weight now to our right palm as well. And then again, if you can go ahead and lift that left hand up off the mat. And if you can't, then You just leave it down, using it for support. When you're ready, you're going to bring that left hand down and just turn those hips square to the mat. And then bring that left leg all the way down to the mat. This time taking your knees as wide as the mat, your toes together, shifting your hips back over your feet. Go ahead and stretch into child's pose. And have a little bit of water here and then read our poem for us one more time. So our poem says, I feel the gaze of the photograph peering at me from the wooden frame speckled in dust. But I have to remember, I'm not who I was back then. Yes, that's my grin, my skin, but when I look into my own eyes, I know that I have changed. I know that even though I still feel traces of my former self, I see things differently now. I have learned not to hide my pain for fear of what others might say. I have learned some days will be harder than others, and that is absolutely okay. I do not have to be strong all the time. I'm not a burden because I have burdens, and because there's a lot on my mind. And maybe not everyone will have time for me, and maybe there will be people who feel I am too much, but I have learned that I am still worthy of love, and that is more than enough. And I may not always feel weightless. I may forget at times that I am free, but I'm learning to fall into grace, to be led where I am meant to be. When you're ready, we can go ahead and come up out of child's pose. We're going to go ahead and tuck our toes here. And we're going to lift into downward facing dog. So we're going to first lift our hips, lift our knees up off the mat, then lift our hips up toward the ceiling. And we're kind of making this inverted V with our bodies, pushing our hands into the mat, allowing the heels to draw down toward the mat, keeping a bend in those knees if you need to. And then here, if you would like, you can go ahead and start to bend one knee at a time. We call this walking the dog. Not forgetting to breathe here. When you're ready, you can go ahead and come back to center. You can start to look at your front hands and then walk your feet towards your hands. Here, we're going to keep a nice bend in our knees, taking one elbow in each hand, and then rolling forward for ragdoll pose. If you'd like to find some movement here, feel free to do that. Then coming back to center, go ahead and place your hands either on the mat or on your shins for support, and then extend those hips up toward the ceiling for forward fold. Think about releasing any tension you might feel in your neck and shoulders here. Leaving your chin tucked, allowing the crown of your head to fall down toward the mat. And then when you're ready, you can start to bend your knees. Place your hands on your knees, and then we'll slowly lift up. Allowing the head to be the last thing that comes up. Go ahead and shake out those feet and legs if you need to, and your arms if you need to. We've come to we're going to do a strengthening section today for our practice. So we're going to start at the top of the mat in our mountain pose, inhaling both arms up. And then bringing our palms together, go ahead and interlace those fingers. Excuse me, leaving your pointer fingers up toward the ceiling, and then interlock those thumbs as well. You're gonna kind of pull up as you inhale. Excuse me, and then you're gonna tip off to one side. I must have gotten holy something in my throat. So we're gonna hold this for 10 breaths. And when you're done with your 10 breaths, you're gonna go ahead and come back to center, release those hands down. We're gonna do some shoulder rolls here. So I think I need a tissue, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening here. And then go ahead and find some stillness here again, coming into mountain pose. Inhale both arms up. And then interlacing those fingers again, leaving the pointer fingers up toward the ceiling, interlock your thumbs, and then pull up and then over to the other side. As we hold this for 10 breaths. It's amazing how long 10 breaths feels when you haven't done it in a while. Still thinking about anchoring in through your heels. When you're ready, you can come back to center. And extend those arms down.
10 breaths and 2 coughs.
I know.
Our spot in your throat.
I know. I do.
1 drink.
It's all that breathing.
That's what it is.
It is.
Heavy
I think
breathing.
you're right. It's all the breathing. Okay, so the next part we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and bring our arms up in front of us. We're going to sit our hips back and come down into chair pose. Again, holding this for 10 breaths. Come down like super deep. You can also do if it's feeling like it's becoming kind of a strain. Or if you want more of a challenge, you can sink those hips a little bit deeper. Kind of checking in with your shoulders, that you're not holding the tension up there in your shoulders. Checking in with your feet, that your weight is in your heels.
My knees are crooked.
And then go ahead and stand up out of that. Shaking out those legs. Should be much warmer now.
She's warming up, folks.
And then we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to come up onto our toes.
Hmm.
If you can, you might need to move close to something to hold on to it if you need to, feel free to do that. And then we're shifting our hips back. Just doing what you can.
Throws the balance totally different.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't think such a small shift would make
Yeah.
such a difference, but it really does. So when you're ready, go ahead and stand up out of that. Whew. Shaking that out.
So much more energy to do that one.
Right, yes, exactly. So this time, we're gonna do that same thing, but we're gonna move directly from chair back into warrior one. So we're gonna shift our hips back, bring our arms up here, and then we're gonna take our arms out to the side and shift our weight to the left foot, stepping back with the right, coming into a lunge, and then taking those arms up in front. And here, we're gonna go ahead and straighten that front leg as we inhale, and then exhale down. Or if you have another breathing pattern that works for you, feel free to do that. And we're gonna do this 10 times. And that is on 7, 8, almost there, 9, and 10. Then leaving our knee bent, go ahead and turn that back foot, so that way it's perpendicular to the front foot. We're gonna open up those arms to warrior 2. And then we're gonna do the same thing, straightening and bending. For 10 times. You might feel your heart rate increasing here. That's very normal. Just a couple more. Maybe one more. And then go ahead and drop those arms down. We're going to take the fingers interlaced here in front of us, pulling forward, tucking the chin, rounding the back. And releasing those arms down, go ahead and straighten that front leg, interlace the fingers behind, pull down the tailbone, looking up. And releasing all of that, stepping forward with that back foot, coming back into mountain. Very good. Now we'll do the other side. So we're going to start again with our chair pose. We're going to come down, arms out in front. And then extending those arms out to either side, we shift our weight to that right foot, stepping back with the left. And then go ahead and take those arms up in front. And then same thing, straightening and bending for 10 times. There's 6 and 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then leaving that bent knee, go ahead and lay the back foot, so you're turning it, And then you're taking those arms down to either side for warrior two and doing the same thing. So straightening and bending. Again, thinking about your posture here. Making sure that everything is still in alignment, even as you're moving. Just a few more. Maybe one more. Leaving that knee bent, dropping the arms. Go ahead and interlace those fingers. Pull forward, rounding the back, tucking the chin. And releasing those arms down, interlacing the fingers behind you, holding down at that tailbone, opening up the chest, looking up. And releasing those arms down, stepping forward with the back foot, and then coming into mountain pose. And kind of shaking that out, we're coming to our balancing postures for today. Excuse me. So if you need to move, feel free to do that. If you want to stay where you are, feel free to do that too. And today we're doing figure four. So we're starting again in our mountain pose. And then shifting our weight to the left foot, bringing that right knee up. Then crossing that right ankle over top of the left knee. And you're gonna kind of open that knee up to the side there for figure four here. And then if you would like a little added challenge, then you can take your arms out in front of you and start to shift your hips back. Coming down to chair pose with figure four. And then coming up out of that, and you can step out and shake out that left foot. Then once more, standing in mountain pose, softening that tailbone down, drawing that belly button in toward the spine. Go ahead and start to shift your weight to the right foot, drawing the left knee forward, then crossing that ankle over top of the knee as you open up your knee to the side. And then here you can stay, or you can start to raise your arms in front for balance as you start to shift your hips back. Again, just coming as far as feels comfortable to you. And then when you're ready, you can stand up out of that, step out, shake out that leg, that foot. We're going to do a few sun salutations. So we'll start at the top of our mats again in our mountain pose. And then we're going to inhale both arms up. Bring palms together, exhale all the way forward. And then lifting into halfway lift. You're either coming to your fingertips or you're coming with your palms on your shins here in a flat back. When you're ready, you're going to go ahead and sit those hips down, lifting all the way into chair pose. And then exhaling, bringing those hands back down, coming forward fold. Inhaling and then stepping back into plank. And then here you're going to drop yourself all the way down to the mat. Untucking your toes and a lift to the cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck your toes once more. Exhale and push up into plank. You're gonna go ahead and shift your hips back, allowing your heels to come down toward the mat, pushing yourself into downward facing dog. And looking forward, you're gonna step forward with the same foot you step back with. Come into forward fold. Arms out to either side. As you come all the way up. And then exhale those arms down. And we'll do another one of these on the other side. So inhale, arms up. Palms together. Exhale all the way forward. Inhale, halfway lift. And then go ahead and shift those hips back and down as you lift your arms up in the chair. And go ahead and place those hands on the mat. Extend your hips up as you come forward fold. Inhale and then step back with your other foot. Coming into plank. And lowering yourself all the way down to the mat. Untuck your toes, lift up in a cobra. Exhale all the way down. Inhale and tuck your toes. Push up into plank position once more. And then shift your hips back. Coming back into downward facing dog. Looking forward, you're going to step forward with the same foot that you stepped back with. Coming to forward fold. And arms out to either side as you lift all the way up. And then exhale, arms down. And now we've come to our cool down section.
We're nice and warm now.
Yeah, we are nice and warm now. In my notes, I had us doing 10 of the sun salutations, but I think we're good with 2 for today. I think we're good.
My bra keeps creeping up to my neck.
No, I hate it when that happens. All right, so we're coming to seated. We're going to take our right leg out at a 45-degree angle. Then we're going to go ahead and stretch our left hand up toward the ceiling and then bend over toward that right leg. And staying here for about 10 breaths. When you're done with your 10 breaths, go ahead and come back to the center. We're going to switch sides. Taking that left leg out, bending the right knee in, taking that right arm up toward the ceiling, and then over left leg. Really thinking about opening up that side body. You can also think about opening up your heart space too. So if you want to move your other arm in front of your leg, you can do that and then start to take your chest up toward the ceiling for a deeper stretch. And when you've held it for about 10 breaths, go ahead and come back to to center and come back to both legs straight in front of us here. Then we're going to inhale both arms up, extending forward, reaching down towards those toes, allowing your hands to come wherever is comfortable to you. Again, staying here for about 10 breaths. And while we pause here, let me read our second poem for us today. As we think about our reflection on this last year, 2023, it says, "It is easy to fix your mind on what fell apart last year. But in that raw reflection, be gentle with your story, knowing that through everything that did or did not happen, the pieces will still come together. And you will look back and see, after everything, you now have strength to carry on." So when you're ready, you can go ahead and take those hands back towards your body. We're going to bend both knees, kind of wrapping ourselves into like a little button sort of pose. So thinking about our low back space here, kind of stretching into that space. This is just a gentler version of that. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and release that, taking one leg down at a time, and then you can actually lie down on your mats on your back. And then taking one knee to the chest at a time, to wrap those knees around with your arms. Again, thinking about your back, releasing any tension you feel there. Again, holding this for 10 breaths. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and take those knees, drop them off to one side, extending your arms out to either side for a deeper spinal twist. Might notice your heart rate coming down, your breath elongating once more. When you're ready, you can take your knees back towards center and then drop them off to the other side. And keeping your arms extended out to either side. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and take your knees back to center once more. Extending those legs down to the mat one at a time. Bring your arms down alongside your body, opening up those hands toward the ceiling if you would like. Relaxing into our final relaxation pose. And while we relax here, let me read this last poem for us once more. Our reflections are so important, but also the way that we reflect is really important. And I think Morgan Harper Nichols' poem here helps us to do that. So dry. Sorry. A second. Excuse me. She writes, "It is easy to fix your mind on what fell apart last year, but in that raw reflection, be gentle with your story, knowing that through everything that did or did not happen, you will, the pieces will still come together, and you will look back and see, after everything, you now have strength to carry on." So we'll take just a moment of reflection here in this final relaxation pose, and then I'll call us together when we're ready. When you're ready, you can go ahead and wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, maybe roll your ankles or roll your wrists if you'd like to. And then roll to one side. Show yourself up into a seated position. And let me pray for us. God, we thank you for this time and space. We thank you for moments of reflection, but also moments of remembrance of how we have changed, of the goodness that you brought into our lives. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I'm gonna down the rest of this water.
I'm dealing with an extremely dry throat.
I know,
don't
it's
know,
really
it's
dry
so
in
dry,
here.
it hurts to swallow.
Oh,
It
goodness.
sounds like what you're having.